So illness. I think the main thing when it comes to illness is really trying to mitigate your time loss. Okay, mitigate the amount of time that you're out, and that's a hard thing to do because the ego gets involved. You just want to get back training, you just want to do what you enjoy, but really you have to make some hard decisions. I'm just going to give you a couple of tips to try and help you with those hard decisions. But there is a big element of discipline, and even I don't get it right. I'm pretty well versed in this now, but you still have to use other people to kind of keep the decision objective. And my lovely girlfriend is always a very good sounding board for me, so always a good shout to find someone who's not gonna how do I put this? Not going to tell you just what you want to hear. They're going to tell you. Sorry, I make it sound like a monster. No, very lovely. Anyway, so the way we put it to our athletes, I believe we've got one of them this evening actually, who's probably heard this all about a million times. Probably even heard a bit last week as well. I won't tell you who he is because I'm hoping he'll come up with some good questions. So yes, the way we kind of approach the topic with our athletes is we remind them that they're highly motivated individuals. That's why they're doing sessions like this. That's why they've engaged the services of a coach. That's why they train so much. They do not lack motivation. And so really when it comes down to making a decision about whether they're well enough to train or they're recovered enough from illness to train, their default setting that we encourage them to have is, if they're umming and ahhing about it, they're not yet right. Okay? And that generally serves people pretty well. If you, so for instance, at the weekend on a Saturday, I'm still coming back from illness myself, and at Saturday, I had a run schedule, but I could just tell my chest was still quite tight. I've got asthma, and so I inevitably always get chest issues whenever I have illness. It just felt a little bit too tight, and then so I decided not to train, and lo and behold, the next day it was absolutely fine, and I was ready to go. I had a reasonably nice session, and so yeah, I would suggest for the majority of you guys that are on tonight's session, probably the same applies to you guys. You've chosen to give up your Monday evening to go ride around a virtual course and listen to some chopper sermonize at you. So yeah, I would suggest you're pretty highly motivated individuals, and it'd be quite a good default setting for yourselves as well. And then the other consideration I tend to apply to the situation is whether it would be fun or not. And I said last week, I was due to race when I originally got ill, and I could well have done it, but the deciding factor for me for not doing it was whether it would have been fun. It wouldn't have been. It was a windy day, arguably shouldn't have been on at all, and could have saved me some money, but yeah, it wouldn't have been fun. It's not as if it was like a beautiful day and I could have just gone and cruise around, soaked in the sun, enjoyed racing with friends or whatever. So for me, that's another consideration. Default setting is whether if you're umming and ahhing, you're probably not quite ready. And the other thing is, if you're still you're in that kind of limbo, is it going to be fun? If not, what's the point? Are you going to get something positive out of the session? Fun maybe not the right word to use. Are you going to have a high quality session and get something out of the workout? And really, I think that is perhaps what the crux of the point, because ultimately what we're trying to do with our training, guys, is piece together high quality training, okay, and do that consistently. Doesn't mean doing every single session, okay, that's a topic for another time, but what it does mean is making sure that you're hitting kind of your key sessions each week, the ones that are going to help you progress, and doing them well. And so if you're not able to do that because you're still ill and the old ego is refusing to kind of allow you a day off, then it's not going to be high quality, guys, and ultimately it's going to be a bit of a waste of energy, a bit of a waste of time. Okay, so that's just a quick little run through of a couple of tips that you can use when you're coming back from training and deciding, coming back from illness and when you're deciding whether to get back into training or not. And just remember, high intensity training has a significant impact on your immune system. It's one of the reasons why my personal view is that HIIT training, as in like HIIT strength training, you know, circuit classes, etc., are really not appropriate for endurance athletes because they take so much out of you, and they, particularly if you're doing them regularly, alongside your high intensity cardio training, your immune system is going to be taking a hammering. Okay, it doesn't mean your strength sessions should be easy, but it does mean that they should be considered and, you know, appropriate and balanced with the rest of your plan. Okay, that chat on high intensity circuit classes, etc., is one for another time. Or if anyone wants to ask a question about it, I'm very happy to go on a rant. But just in terms of the practical assistance, again, when you're coming back into training, just remember, having a week off because of illness isn't really going to affect your fitness. Okay, that can be one of the anxieties and one of the reasons that people tend to rush back into training, so they think they're losing fitness. Realistically, you're not going to lose that much, so I wouldn't worry about it. And if you come back into training and you're feeling sluggish and you're struggling, that's pretty normal. It's not necessarily because you lost fitness, it's probably because you're just still kind of dealing with the benefits. You're probably not, you know, you might be fine to train, you might be feeling relatively good within yourself, but there's still going to be a lag after getting over illness where you still got, your body's still dealing with the trauma of it. You know, you might have inflammation in your respiratory system, you know, just dealing with a lot of phlegm, etc. I was trying to think of a nicer word, but there's no nice word for phlegm, is there really? You know, you might be just dealing with that stuff after illness, and it just takes your ability, your performance down 1% or 2%, and that's going to probably take another week or so until you really get over that. So don't stress. You know, when you get back in training, build into it slowly, be kind to yourself, listen to your body, make sure that you're not kind of testing the boundaries of your capacity, because it's really not worth it, and you won't have really lost fitness. I'll be willing to guarantee, actually no, I don't guarantee anything, not unless I'm paid. I would be willing to suggest that sort of the week after that, you'd probably be back hitting your sort of numbers you'd be used to. All right. To give you a little protocol, the way we kind of suggest it is when you're getting back into training after illness, day one, just do an easy 30 minutes, super light, come to a session like this, and, you know, really just stay in zone 1. So zone 1, for anybody that's not familiar, is where you can do your active recovery, and that's basically efforts under about 55% of FTP. So that's day 1, super easy, 30 minutes max. Don't be tempted to do more, even if you're feeling good. As I say, you don't need to test the boundaries of your capacity. It's just about feeding the training back in and seeing how your body responds. Then day 2, you extend that easy riding or training out to about 45 minutes or an hour. Again, no intensity, keep it super light. Okay, should be conversational effort. Day 3, that's when you start to introduce a little bit of intensity. And when I say a little bit, I mean little bursts, 1-2 minutes at a time, probably nothing over a threshold, just kind of little bursts, and then see how your body responds to that, both in the session but also after the session. You start to feel kind of wiped, you know, completely drained after the session, then yeah, it depends, you probably weren't quite ready. Okay, and then basically, guys, if you have any significant reaction from any of those days, you might want to go back to the beginning and start again, which will be hard to make yourself do. but it'll be worthwhile. So once really you've only kind of done that, can you start to think about full training? And even then, like I said earlier, you're probably looking at another week before you're back firing on all cylinders. So, you know, continue the slow process, feeding that intensity slowly. You know, I think it's the sort of thing, it's kind of common sense. And if you've got a coach, get them to do it for you.